increase the combat readiness of the regional grouping of troops and the air defense systems of Russia and Belarus. This was discussed during the meeting of the Belarusian and Russian defense ministers. The step is forced, says Shoigu. Some circumstances are forcing it.
Circumstances dictate the need to take urgent joint measures to strengthen the defense capability of the Union state, increase the combat readiness of the regional grouping of troops, and a unified regional air defense, which is becoming more and more relevant today. We are ready to provide any support to Belarusian friends.
Though the support of friends in the understanding of Russia means putting the squeeze on Lukashenko so that he enters the bloody war against Ukraine. To do this, according to Ukrainian intel data, the Kremlin decided to repeat the so-called Chechen casus belli, blow up a number of residential buildings in the Belarusian city of Mozyr, blame Ukraine of this and use the terrorist attack as a pretext for declaring war.
To do this, sabotage groups arrived in Mozyr under the guise of civilians. They include career employees of the main intelligence directorate of the Russian Federation and mercenaries from private military companies controlled by Prigozhin and Shoigu. Consequently, the Russian GRU is planning a series of artillery and missile strikes against the Mozyr oil refinery, civilian infrastructure and residential areas. It is believed that in this case the self-proclaimed president of Belarus will not have the opportunity to avoid participation in the war. With this information, the officers of the Belarusian army began to evacuate their families from Mozyr. From the message of the main Directorate of Intelligence of the Ministry of Defense of Ukraine.
The threat of missile strikes from Belarus has not gone away either. The General Staff of the Armed Forces of Ukraine does not exclude the relocation of sabotage and reconnaissance groups to the territory of Ukraine.
Belarus continues to provide its resources to assist Russia in the aggression against our country. According to available data, maintenance and removal of equipment is currently underway, under the pretext of conducting military drills, training activities on the basis of military equipment. Given the heavy losses of the aggressor's military equipment, as well as the somewhat better condition and storage condition of the equipment on the Belarusian armed forces, it is possible that our neighbor will provide weapons and military equipment for the Russian aggressor, and this equipment can be moved to the Donetsk or Kherson directions of hostilities.
The Zabrovka airfield may become a place of deployment for Russian equipment and troops. Belarusian and Russian soldiers are currently building military infrastructure there, and the monitoring group, the Belarusian Gayun, records relocation of ammunition from Belarus to Russia by railroad transport.
Belarus has begun loading ammunition into 100 covered wagons for the transportation of explosive materials, Class 1 explosives, which were leased from the Belarusian Railroad by the Military Communications Department of the Republic of Belarus and the Central Directorate of Military Communications of the Ministry of Defense of the Russian Federation. These wagons will be used to transport ammunition from Belarus to the Russian Federation. After loading, groups of wagons, 6-10 units each, are sent to the stations of the Minsk railway junction, and already there they are attached to ordinary freight trains and sent along the route Minsk-Orsha-Krasnoye-Smolensk to the destination station in the Russian Federation. The message of the monitoring group, the Belaruski Gayun, on Telegram.
Belarus is willing to give, or rather sell its equipment to Russia, but definitely not to fight directly with Ukraine, analyst Igor Tishkevich believes.
If we talk about the invasion, look at the border of Belarus and Ukraine. According to various estimates, there are from 5 to 8 battalion tactical groups, from 4 to 6,000 people on more than 800 kilometers of the front. Ask yourself a very simple question on the logic of such forces to conduct an offensive. The second question is also the logic of taking data from the Belarusian monitoring groups and Ukrainian intelligence to create minefields in Belarus near forest roads. If you intend to attack, will you mine your own territory?
Belarus simply does not have enough military strength or means to fight with Ukraine, Igor Tishkevich is sure.
If we suppose in the Gomel region for mobilization training for the year floated to allocate 1.6 million Belarusian rubles. The rate is 2.6 per dollar. Now it is planned to be 2.3 million Belarusian rubles for the region per year. With this small amount of money, wars do not begin.
Today, it is vitally important for Lukashenko to retain his power, and the war against Ukraine will definitely not help him in this. According to experts, Lukashenko will most likely try to play a double game, to stay alongside Putin, threatening to attack, and to avoid for as long as possible the moment when, under Putin's onslaught, he will be eventually forced to give the order to start the war, which might turn out as his last order as the self-proclaimed president of Belarus. Reported by Pavlo Steinmach, Yulia Granovska, UATV News.